Last week, we heard the beginning of a remarkable story, a story that started in a small village in Tanzania, crossed continents, and forever changed the lives of two people who never expected to become family. But as powerful as that journey was, it turns out it was only the beginning. Because what happens when opportunity becomes responsibility, when gratitude becomes purpose, and when one person's success becomes a mission to help others?
In part 2, we follow Angel's journey beyond the classroom and into the work that would ultimately earn her recognition as Colorado's 2021 Remarkable Woman. We explore the creation of her nonprofit, One Love, the impact her work is having in her Maasai village, and how she's creating opportunities for future generations. This conversation is about legacy in its purest form, not what we leave behind someday, but what we choose to build, nurture, and pass forward right now.
Welcome back to part 2 of this story on the PIG. Here, we explore life, love, loss, and legacy through real conversations and meaningful stories with purpose, intention, and gratitude. We're Kelly and Erin, sisters, best friends, sometimes polar opposites, but always deeply connected by the life and love of the woman who taught us that believing in someone can sometimes change generations, our mother, Marcia. Before we begin, a quick note for our listeners. Angel is joining us remotely from her Maasai village in Northern Tanzania, the very place where this remarkable story began. While we've done our best to optimize the technology, you may occasionally hear minor audio interruptions due to the distance and internet connection. We think you'll agree it's a small price to pay for the opportunity to share this conversation across continents and around the world.
Where are you at? Are you inside or outside?
I'm inside today. I'm testing it out. If it doesn't work out, then I'll go outside.
Did you put the Starlink on the roof?
Yeah, we set it up with my mom. They had a ladder and everything. So right now it's like set up on top of the roof.
Nice. I like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no obstructions, no kids to like run into the wire or anything, no goats, no nothing. So I'm really, really hoping.
Stay away from the Starlink goats.
Yeah.
I know, and they have no idea what the heck it is. And the kids just want to play with it.
Yeah, the kids are more harmful than the goats.
Yeah, they are.
I can imagine. I think if we pick up, were you nominated, Angel, for the Remarkable Woman of Colorado Award?
Yeah.
What's so cool about that award, Angel, is that you were a freshman in college.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just graduated. Yes, I was a freshman in college. There we go.
I had just asked something about the impact of the award and the founding of One Love, but the founding of One Love actually came before the award.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about Angel going to school at Bellevue and then the transition from Bellevue to high school, because that's where her friends went, and she played sports and was in AP and honors and just did it all.
Why don't you tell us how One Love started? Because then that leads to the Remarkable Woman. That's why you got the award. And that was high school. So how did that come about?
I think honestly, the main reason was I knew what I left behind. And I think the really, really good thing that Tony did was he always made sure that I had contact with my family at all times. We started paying like a monthly subscription for Skype. That was before Skype went under or got bought by a different company. But I always was speaking to my parents on the weekends, just making sure everything is good. But they would always kind of tell me about the troubles, you know. My mom would tell me I'm still walking miles to get water, and just kind of what we mentioned yesterday, that life in Tanzania is just really, really hard. And just speaking to them, and keep in mind, I'm 11 years old, 12 years old, but I kind of lived the life as well. So I knew what she was talking about. And I would always ask Tony, hey, can you send my mom like $20, or like, can you send her $10, or, you know, just for the basic needs, you know, for her to like be able to buy something as simple as sugar or rice or anything like that. So I was always trying to find a way to give back somehow, but not really knowing how. So basically throughout middle school, Tony was always sending funds to my family. You know, even though we were successful with their adoption and everything, I still was like, oh, I got to help my family somehow. So he kind of was the person that was really in that role and just helping my family all the time. But that also wasn't sustainable because, he was also a single father, trying to pay for everything for me, for a new daughter and everything. And so when I was in high school, I started kind of doing little fundraisers. We started collecting like computers that students didn't want or need anymore. And we would send those to Tanzania. We would try to raise money and send that. So the good thing about One Love, or the sad part is we had just lost regionals for softball. So it was kind of a sad day. Long story short, we lost the regionals and we were at Kidoba eating our lunch. And I just started talking to my friends about, how much I really want to help my family. And, they're just kind of struggling. And one of them was like, have you ever thought about starting a nonprofit? And at that point, I didn't really know what the word nonprofit really meant. But somebody was like, maybe that way you can collect money easily if it's all under one name. And I don't know, something about when they said it, it just clicked, but I knew that it wasn't officially an idea until I told Tony. I had to go to him, at the end of the day and just be like, "Hey, I have an idea." And every time I say I have an idea, he's like, "Oh boy, here we go." Okay. He's always worried when I start with that. He's always worried when I start with I have an idea. At this point, I think I'm a sophomore in high school. And I came home and I was like, I have an idea. And he's like, okay, what is it? And I was like, what if we start a nonprofit? And imagine telling a single father that is already trying to make it to all the games and everything and make life work that now I want to start this whole nonprofit. But he was like, yeah, let's get started. And he actually designed the logo. I watched a 40-minute video on YouTube and kind of designed the website by myself. And that's kind of how we started. And we just started doing little fundraisers, and they were kind of successful because I was always telling people I had built a very good community in Brighton because I was always telling them about the Maasai culture and everything and what I was trying to do. So they kind of trusted me. So every project that we kind of started was successful. And, we were just kind of advertising on Facebook, but we were able to collect funds and we kind of started doing little by little. And next thing you know, we are now educating 14 children. We've brought electricity. We just installed a well about 3.5 years ago. We just bought a bus for a local school here in the village. So it's a small nonprofit, but the work that we've been able to do is crazy. And the fact that it's just been running, with really no team, it's just my dad and I. And we set up fundraisers and people show up. So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you just started in, I think, your sophomore year of high school.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just a lot of word of mouth. Like Angel said, she had a real strong community from the school and sports and their parents. So we got lots of support. And then just, anybody that I knew. So it was just kind of here and there. I don't think she had her first actual event until your freshman year or sophomore year of college. Is that right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And since then, I think we've had 3 One Love actual events where we have a venue and we have people come in and we cater food and have a slideshow and kind of celebrate One Love and show all the accomplishments. And so it's been remarkable. I honestly don't do much. I mean, I'm there to support Angel, but the website, she's redesigned that several times and it's as good as it gets. It's an amazing website.
I agree.
Everything she's done is just, the fundraisers have been successful, and she's formed some great partnerships with different Rotaries, with Clean Water International, with another international.
Engineers Without Borders.
What was that one?
Engineers Without Borders, the one in Tanzania.
That border. So it's just been incredible. And yeah, she mentioned the well. That was like 30,000. The school bus was, I think, like 30,000. She brought electricity to the village. So for the first time ever, kids can do homework at night and people can sit outside past sundown, and introduced propane cooking stoves to the women because they cook by fire in a hut. So there's lots of inhalation and lots of lung disease. And she's built, I'm not sure how many houses, but she's kind of replaced a lot of the mud houses with brick houses because they're safer, they're cleaner, they're easier to maintain, they're more room. the traditional houses, they have the grass roofs and, they cook inside. So the sparks are just going up in that dried grass and they can catch on fire. One time before I knew Angel, she was sitting in there eating in her mom's house and a scorpion just fell from the roof and stung her on the hand. So,
Oh, goodness.
snakes get in there. You go in sometimes you'll see a goat. So having the brick houses has been real successful also. So it's incredible. She's done all that on her own, really. I haven't done much.
The funny thing is, being in the village, I was just reminiscing with my mom because I have old pictures of the old mud huts that we all grew up in. And my mom just shook her head and she said, we've really, really come a long way, Because even now, like being able to be on this call and my computer is plugged in and they're watching TV out there and it's just a different lifestyle. And my mom basically spent 5 hours today making her beads. So it's really saved the women a lot of time, which time is always kind of the best way to describe the impact that these projects are having. Because even though it's impacting the men as well, it's mostly the women that do these everyday jobs, washing and cooking and cleaning and feeding the livestock and going to the farm. So just having these basic necessities, I mean, I think my mom is involved now in like 4 businesses. I even have no idea. But just because she has so much more time, to do them and to be involved in everything. So it has really, really impacted this village. And now we're raising funds to bring another well to a different village close by. So it's really impacting the people here.
I did forget to mention Angel also built because I think it's called the Junction, like the closest place you can go to buy necessities and food, and they have a market there, so sugars and all that stuff. So Angel built a shop, a big, nice concrete shop right in the village. So now women can just walk instead of maybe 5 miles, 4 miles. They can just go to the shop and get what they need. Again, as we always say, life there is hard, and Angel's just trying to make it not quite as hard. And she's done a great job at it.
It's incredible to me to listen to all of this and thinking about where your story started. And I love that your name is Angel because an angel showed up in Tony's life and an angel showed up in Angel's life. And the impact that that has had around the world. You started in Tanzania in the village, passionate about education, met Tony, have the opportunity to come to the United States, to Colorado. You pour into your education like you always dreamed that you would, start a nonprofit as a high school student. And now, all these years later, you are sitting back in your home village in Tanzania on a Zoom call with us, with Tony, with your mom, with your dad, with all your siblings. And it's come full circle, which to me, Angel, embodies life, love, loss, and above everything else, legacy.
Yeah.
And the legacy that you're living by living this incredible life and the impact that you're going to continue to have is truly remarkable. And so we want to continue hearing about One Love and all that you're doing. But because One Love started, that led to the Remarkable Woman Award. Can we go back to and just pick up how that whole award came to be and what it's really meant to you and to the organization?
Go ahead. You probably remember it better, Angel, because you were in direct contact with them. So do you remember how that unfolded?
Now I know, but at the time, I didn't know who nominated me. I just remember getting a phone call from Fox 31, and they basically told me you were nominated for the 2021 Carter Remarkable Woman, like of the year. And I was like, wow, that is insane. And my first question was, how did they even know about me? But I don't know, it almost just, when you do something for so long and you're not sure what you're doing is actually right, but you keep doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like getting that call told me that you're on the right path and what you're doing is actually impactful to the point where you're being nominated. And the fact that the Fox 31 company, called me, and they don't know me that well. They don't know the Maasai people. I'm sure they know a little bit about One Love from Tony, but just the fact that I got the call from them, there's a word that I'm trying to come up with. It really just told me that what I was doing was right and it was impacting people. So
Kind of validated what you were doing.
yes, yes, the word validated is what I was looking for. It definitely validated everything that I was doing. I was so happy. I mean, I'm a freshman in college and I get a call that, a big station in Denver is nominating me for this big award. I just loved it. I was ecstatic. I was excited to know the next steps. They were like, we need to come and shoot a video. I'm like, I'm ready any day. I would literally put classes on hold if I need to. But they came and shot a short story, which, we actually watched with Tony. And I think I cried, because just seeing the people from my village on TV, they interviewed Tony and they asked me a few questions about Tony on the interview. And I think I started bawling. That minute and a half video was done so well that it just made me come to tears. And it just validated the work that we were doing for One Love, just seeing it on the big screen. And getting the call that I had won was crazy. Just the fact that I'm a freshman in college and I just won this big award, and the fact that my own father nominated me I think it made it extra special. I think that's why I really, really loved it, was because he was a part of it. And we got interviewed together and we started One Love together. It just felt right.
Yeah, they sent out, I think they were from California. It was a 2-person crew, but a cameraman and one of their national reporters.
That was the next one. So after I won the Colorado Remarkable Woman of the Year, then every winner of each state, then you compete nationally.
Okay.
So after I had won the Colorado one, they sent out a team from California to Denver, and we all sat down and they interviewed me about, everything that I was doing. And then you get to compete with the other people. And nationally, I placed 6th.
Beautiful.
And since it was during COVID, because normally all the winners from each state, they fly them out to California. But this was during COVID, so we didn't get to go. They just announced the winner, and I think they took the winner to California, and that was it.
Yeah.
But it was just incredible even to place that high nationally.
When she won, it was so fun because we go down to the station, the Fox 31 local station here, and they just roll out the red carpet for her, and they're giving us a tour. And it's ironic because she went to work for Fox 31 right after college, no connection, but at the time, they invite us down and they're giving us a tour of everything, all the studios. We're meeting everybody, and then I'm kind of just in the background, just watching everything. And they're getting Angel, like you see on movies, to make up and mic'd up and getting all the spots right and the lighting right. And it seems like you did kind of one interview and then
I did, because Channel 2 and Fox 31 are in the same studio. Mm-hmm. So I did one interview, I think at 7 a.m., for example, and then I would go to Channel 2 and do their 7 a.m., and I'll go back to Fox and do like their 9 a.m., go back to Channel 2 and do the same. So it was just like a lot of back and forth, but I loved it. And even though they already told me I won, they announced the winner live to everybody else. So I was already in the studio when they announced that, but it was incredible being in that giant studio. There are cameras everywhere. I was taking pictures with everybody, and everybody was so nice. So to this day, I still have those pictures. They're a really, really, really good memory.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Right here in the Denver metro.
It's part of a nationwide company initiative shining light on the impact women make and what they have in our communities. We've been working on this project for weeks now, and this morning we're very excited to introduce you to our first finalist, Angel Mollel, a name almost too fitting for this remarkable woman.
These pictures tell the story where Angel Mollel grew up worlds away in the poverty-stricken Maasai village just outside of Tanzania.
We had to fight for everything that we got. Every day we had to go find food or water, or like you literally didn't know where you're going to get your next meal.
Living in these mud huts with 16 brothers and sisters, 2 moms and 1 dad. Each day there was just one task: survival. In 2012, at the age of 11, Angel captured the heart of one very special stranger.
I knew I wanted her to have a better life so she could help herself and help her family and help her village. And then eventually I knew I wanted to adopt her so I could just give her everything I possibly could.
Tony Matteroli did adopt Angel and brought her back to Colorado. And it didn't take long for everyone else to see just how remarkable Angel was. She quickly learned the language and made new friends. Angel graduated from Brighton High School being voted most outstanding senior. She played tennis and softball and is currently enrolled in CU Boulder. Things were looking up, but Angel always found herself looking back, hoping to one day find a way she too could pay it forward.
My friends and I just came up with the idea of like starting a nonprofit, and I loved reggae, and so I was listening to Bob Marley, that song One Love, and I was like, wait a second, that's a good name for my nonprofit.
And just like that, her nonprofit, One Love, came to life. Over the years, Angel's raised thousands of dollars to help the Maasai people of Tanzania. Every summer, she returns home to see it all go to good use.
We were able to do so much than, just helping the children. We were able to build better houses, and the biggest one was bring clean water to the village and build a shop so the women can get necessities that they need.
She's increased the area's life expectancy and sponsored children, helping them pursue higher education and giving them hope. And of course, as an angel would, she doesn't like taking all the credit. After all, it takes a village to help a village. Angel is happy to share her namesake with the man who gave her a chance to touch the world.
I don't know how to describe him. He's an angel. He's my best friend. Sometimes I'm so thankful that he's my dad, but I honestly just think I met my number one best friend in the whole wide world.
It's a bond that moves them both to tears.
To me, she's the most incredible person on the planet. She's so selfless. Everything she does is for someone else.
What were you studying in school? You went to University of Colorado, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Go Buff.
I know, you
Go
got to fill a buff there.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I'm the rival. I went to Colorado State.
Oh,
no. Sorry. Because now we're going to enter into competition. It's so incredible. You are a remarkable woman, and that award is so well deserved.
Thank you.
It's so incredible to hear about your experience through that. But you were a freshman in college, and so you were at the University of Colorado at Boulder. What were you studying? And then how did that not only impact your education, but then running this nonprofit and going to school simultaneously? Can you walk us through some of those times and those years?
Yeah. So I went to CU Boulder for CMCI, which is the College of Information, Communication, and Media. Because ever since I was in high school, Tony bought me my first camera, and I was just taking pictures of my high school friends, whether it was prom or homecoming or like sports or anything. I was always taking photos. I noticed that I loved art class a lot more than any classes, just being able to create art, make something out of nothing. I took all the photography classes. So I knew I was leaning more onto like the communication side and like content creation and all that. And I didn't know that going into CU, but when I saw CMCI and I saw information, communication, media, I was like, okay, I think this is more of the path that I want. I started studying that, and the more classes I took, the more fun I was just having. And it was great because, especially starting at Bellevue, that gave me such a foundation of you got to get going, You have to be organized. Even in high school. I mean, in high school, I think I was playing 3 sports at one time and, homework on top of that. So I was always juggling multiple things. So in college, it wasn't honestly that hard to do the classes and also run the nonprofit. I think it was just more of the people still didn't know what One Love was, so it's just more of the advertising. But it wasn't, from what I remember, it really wasn't a stressful time at CU. I was having a wonderful time. I even interned for the sports department, so like the big football games and basketball games. I mean, I was a photographer and videographer for them. So I would definitely describe myself as a go-getter. I get bored really fast if I'm, not juggling like 3, 4 things at once. Um, so I mean, I was having a good time. I felt like I was handling a pretty good load, and I actually finished in 3.5 semesters. I told my advisor I would love to continue being in school until I absolutely cannot, which was May of 2024, and he was like, well, you would be paying for a whole semester for classes you really don't need because you're done. So I actually graduated in December of 2023, and then I just waited to walk in May of 2024. But the first year I lived with Tony because I graduated during COVID in high school, so that was weird. I lived with Tony my freshman year of college just because, I was 30 minutes away from CU and I just didn't really see the point of paying for the dorms when I'm that close. And I think I only had one in-person class.
Yeah, everything was online anyway. It was the
Yeah.
worst year to start college. We were so excited for her just to experience college.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
COVID hit and she's has to live at home with me. I had to suck. And then, and just all those, I mean, extracurricular activities and sporting events, just everything was canceled. It was the totally terrible year.
Yeah.
Indeed, it was for the world, right? And probably
the world.
also limited. Interesting to actually probably talk about that COVID experience from your perspective, because you were in the United States, but you also were very in close contact with your family that was in Tanzania and what their experience was like. So dichotomously different, I imagine.
It was very different. The thing to this day that shocked me was the fact that toilet paper was the number one necessity in the US during COVID. That was crazy. But I was just shocked. I mean, I think it was February of my senior year, and we were told not to come back to school, and I think classes were online the rest of the time, and we weren't allowed to see anybody. But, I think they still went above and beyond for the seniors who didn't get the normal traditional ceremony. I think we got a lot more because we still got to walk the stage, even though it was in a parking lot. It was just a mini tiny stage in the parking lot, one student at a time. But we also got to do the parade where everybody was in their different cars. That's kind of where the graduating senior signs came about, where now parents are sticking in their lawns. So I feel like we got a lot more. I feel like I'm even missing some, but we got a lot. But the interesting thing is I told Tony I want to go home. So I actually traveled right at the peak of COVID, and traveling at that time was crazy. I mean, a flight that carries like over 500 people, I felt like I had the whole section to myself. There was nobody. For the first time, I just slept. I had rows and rows. It was insane. And the second I get to the village, it was almost like there's no COVID. Everybody's living their life. Nobody's wearing face masks. Nobody's really worried about it. So it was really different to go from the US where, if somebody coughs, oh my goodness, we're all running away, to the village where everybody's just living their life. They didn't really think it was real. So I stayed here for a couple months and then I went back to the US. And I remember the first thing I did when I came back to the US was go to Target at 4 a.m. to stand in line for toilet paper. And it's just so crazy to experience COVID in both worlds. But it didn't really stop much besides school in my life. It was just a stressful time for everybody.
That it was. Absolutely. I'm still confused why toilet paper was in such high demand during
too.
COVID. It still
I am
makes
too.
absolutely no sense.
You would think it's food, but it's toilet paper.
Let's talk about where you go from CU.
Mm-hmm.
You continue One Love all the way through college. You graduate early, but walk on time. And then
Mm-hmm.
what? Where do things go from there?
One important thing that I forgot to mention was, I believe, Tony, I got accepted to 12 colleges.
Something like that.
In the end, I chose CU because I was already away from my birth family. And being away from them, I just didn't even want to be away from Tony either. So that's kind of why I chose CU. And CU was already such a big school, and I really wanted to experience the big school, the big football games, the big everything. Like I wanted it all. So I would say that's kind of why I chose to go to CU. It was great. Tony was such a great help throughout. I mean, I think I moved 2, 3 times, and each time here he is, moving mattresses, moving everything, and we're looking for new places to live and all that. So thank you. You were amazing through that whole transition because it is a lot. But yeah, 3.5 years, I was done with CU, and I think I spent about 2, 3 months applying for jobs, and I finally got an interview. I got a few interviews, but the one at Fox 31 is the one that worked out, which was crazy because in the Remarkable Woman interview, when I won, I kind of made a joke like, "Hey, I'm in media at CU, so when a job opens up, please let me know." And it was just crazy to walk in, and I kind of thought they knew me. Like that's why I got the interview, was because of the funny comment I made 3 years ago. But the guy had no idea who I was, and he was like, "You just gotta get your foot in the door," and I was like, "You're absolutely right." So I did the interview. He told me, "You got the job," and I started prompting, which prompting literally is just moving the wheel so the words can move up the prompter so the anchors can read it on TV. So that was my first job out of college, was just moving the prompter. I think it was great as a first job. It wasn't great as like my final job, but it was definitely like a great starter. But I knew I wanted more because I knew I had more to give. I knew I was great at creating content. So I was like, what else can I do? So then I started moving cameras, I think a month or two later. And then I started syncing the mics for the reporters that were on the field and to the station. So I just started doing a lot more than prompting. And then I believe it was a year later, and this was my transition from Louisville to Denver. So I moved to Denver when I was, at this time at Fox. And a year later, I told my boss I want to be a camera woman. The first thing he asked me was, "Can you carry all that equipment?" And I said, "I will figure it out."
That's right.
That's all I told him. That's all I told him. I told him I will figure it out. Which, I mean, it's a man dominated field. Like, it's mainly men that are cameramen, because you have to carry a lot of gear all the time to any breaking news. So he told me, if you can carry the gear, the job is yours. So I was like, I'll try it out. I'm ready. So I started training with that and picked up everything pretty fast. And next thing you know, I believe 3 weeks later, I'm already on the field covering different stories. I actually covered the Boulder. I don't know if you heard about the Boulder situation, and also the recent Evergreen shooting. Those are all my shifts, and it's just me and a tiny body with this giant camera and a backpack on and a tripod, and my dad actually bought me a wagon because he told me, at times when you're not shooting, you should, put your gear in the wagon. And that wagon has become my best friend to this day. So
Smart.
I might replace Tony with it, but I found a way. We both found a way to make it work. But yeah, I think that's everything with the Fox. I got nominated for 2 Emmy nominations for my coverage for the Boulder and Evergreen. So Tony will go, and hopefully, if I do win, accept those in July.
She did win a Emmy. It was an Emmy, right, in college?
I won an Emmy in college for I did a story in The Village for the coming of age, because we kind of changed the culture a little bit just because it was harming the women. So I kind of covered that because I also celebrated coming of age. And that's when you go from a girl to a woman. So that was my capstone project, was coming to the village and shooting all that content, going back and editing it and then submitting it. So that was the Emmy that I won in college. And now I have a chance to win two more for, my actual professional work.
Wow, congratulations. What an
Thank you, thank you.
incredible accomplishment.
Thank you so much.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
When you actually moved to the United States, and I know you said you kept in touch with your family a lot via Skype, but did you travel back to Tanzania through those kind of middle school and high school years? Did you visit in person? What was that like?
That's a good question. When I first came to the US, I only had a 1-year visa from Tanzania, which I don't really know what school is 1 year. So when I got there, that's when Tony started the process to become my legal guardian and adopt me. And eventually I got the green card. But every year I would ask Tony, when am I going home? Because I would miss my family so much. And, I would cry to him and say, I miss my mom. I want to go home. But I think he did such a phenomenal job of just letting me know that you will soon. I promise. We just got to be done with the paperwork. And once we're done, you can go see them as many times as you want. We just have to make sure you're secure in the US. Because after the 1 year of being in the US, my visa had already expired. So 1 year went by, and I think that's when he became my legal guardian. Then another year went by, and he adopted me. Then another year went by, and next thing you know, 4 years had gone by. And at this point, I think because I'm talking to my family every weekend, they know I'm alive and they know I'm doing well and everything because I sound happy on the phone. But at this point, I'm like, I have no idea when I'm ever going to be going home. And still 4 years later, he was like, I promise we're so close. Just keep hanging on. From the moment we arrived in 2012, I didn't go home until 2016. So it was 4 years later. It was actually when I was in middle school.
Wow.
In the middle of February, I got my green card in the mail. That process was so long and stressful, but I didn't really quite grasp it when I was young. I just really didn't understand it. I just kept telling Tony I want to go home. But the second I got the green card, I just told Tony book my ticket. And it was in February. Like we were not out of school until May, of course. I just told him, I'm like, just book my ticket. I want to go.
Yeah.
And he didn't even say, he was like, I understand. I'm going to book it now. And he actually came with me. We came all the way to Tanzania. I told my dad I was coming, and our flight was delayed 8 hours. Our flight into Kilimanjaro, which is the airport that we live close by, was delayed for 8 hours. So my dad in Tanzania was standing at the airport for 8 hours.
Oh.
Little did I know the whole village came to the airport.
Oh.
Everybody was waiting for my arrival. So after like 4 or 5 hours, everybody was like, I don't think she's coming. I think we should just go back home. And my dad was like, she told me she was coming. I'm gonna wait here. And thankfully, 8 hours later, we landed, and I see a sea of just Maasai people. The whole airport was so confused why there were so many Maasai people just waiting around. And the second I landed, people were grabbing me left and right, trying to see, like, is she actually here? Is she actually alive? Like, what's going on? Did she get married? Like, everybody was so confused to the point where I didn't even see my mom until we were in the car heading home. And in the car I was like, has anybody seen my mom? And they were like, she's right behind you. And the second I saw her, I just started crying.
Of
I was
course.
just so overwhelmed with emotions that I just started crying when I saw her. And I didn't even know where Tony was. I lost Tony like in the chaos. I think I finally saw him when we got back to the village, but it really was the greatest homecoming I've ever seen. And, people were just shocked that I was back, I was alive. I was so chubby, which to Maasai people is the best thing that can ever happen to a person. Because that just means you're not struggling, you're eating well, like life is treating you well. So being chubby it just made my mom happy. She was like, I can just see from how you look that you're not struggling at all. Like you're loving life and everything. So I think me coming home and them seeing me in that state, it just reassured them that everything is fine. And just the fact that Tony brought me back home made them trust him a lot more. And the funny thing is, my grandma asked me today, because I went to see her, and she was like, does Tony still love you as much as he did back in the day? I was like, I feel like it's a little more now. Like each day it's a little more. But it really was amazing. And then we stayed for a week with Tony, which was not long enough. And I think I cried all the way back to the US. And Tony was like, I promise the second you're done with school, I'll put you back on the flight. Which, he kept his promise, because 3 months later I was in my summer break and I was on a flight back to Tanzania. So I traveled with my green card, right? The second time, because you were so worried.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know how many months later I got my citizenship.
Just a few, I forget also, but a few months, 6 months maybe.
Yeah. He was just so worried, especially when I traveled back in May. Because I traveled by myself. I think at this point, how old am I? Like 15, 16, 17, traveling internationally by myself. He was just so worried that I wouldn't be able to travel back to the US with a green card, which he, had every right, because I went traveling back to the US from Tanzania. They were like, what is a green card? And I literally told myself, yes, I'm going to be stranded today. I'm not going anywhere. But luckily, I was able to make it back to the US. And then a few months later, I had my citizenship. So,
Wow. Such a remarkable woman with a remarkable story, and it just, continues to unfold in layers. I'm going to shift just a little bit because you talked about your grandmother's question of Tony's love for you. Tony, a huge, huge part of this story is the size of your heart. From the moment you walked into that school, those early days when you saw the potential in this little girl, the connection that you felt, and a knowing that there's something bigger here, not just for me, but for the two of us together. And, we're celebrating Father's Day. That's when this episode is actually coming out. I'd love to hear from you, your side of this experience, and what this has meant for you, what it has meant to become a father, what it's meant to bring this girl into your life and not just take on the parenting responsibilities in the physical aspect, but the emotional part of that too. And this is near and dear to Erin's and my heart because, Tony, you may not know this, but we were legally adopted when Erin was 11 and I was 18.
Oh, I didn't know.
I was legally adopted after I graduated from high school. So over that summer, I had a new social security card, a new driver's license, a new birth certificate, and graduated high school one name and went to college another. So this is really pretty special for us too, because we know the bonds that exist beyond blood.
Mhm. Yeah, I almost feel like it's stronger than blood in a way because you don't have a choice with blood. You don't have a choice with your biological family. You have a choice who you choose to be in your life and who you choose to love. And there could not be a bond stronger than I feel like the bond Angel and I have. Then there just couldn't be a stronger bond, whether it's blood or not. It's weird. I just feel like we were just destined to connect at some point in life. Just the way it unfolded, where we were at, just everything. It was just meant to be. It's hard to explain. I mean, I mentioned earlier, yesterday or whatever it wasn't challenging being a father. I mean, we had our ups and downs and, the late night homework and getting her acclimated to school in the US. Those were challenging, but the hard part, it was the struggles making it all happen. It was the struggle getting her here and the uncertainty if that would ever happen. And if it didn't, what's plan B? Because I wasn't just going to give up and say like, well, we tried, good luck. Was I going to move there? Were we both going to move to Europe? Those are all contingencies I had in my head if I could not get her to the US. So yeah, the struggles of getting her here, then once we got here, even though life was much easier and it was great, we accomplished a huge goal. It was the adoption process and all the challenges that come with that. And people saying, this isn't going to work and that's not going to work. And you finally get through that hurdle. And then you come to learn that even though she's my legal daughter, she's not a citizen of the US. So then we have to start a whole new process, another year or so to go through that process. And it was a frustrating time. I mean, while it was an amazing, joyous time because Angel and I were together and she was living this amazing life in America, just the behind the scenes struggles just never ended. There was always that worry. What if we don't get that citizenship? I'm sure I was over worried at the time, but to me, that was a reality. What happens if she doesn't get citizenship? What do we do? What's my next plan? So until we got through all that, we got her here, we got the adoption, and we got the citizenship. She had a birth certificate, she had everything. I mean, I could finally take kind of a breath because at that point, she'd established herself here as an amazing student and a great athlete and had a ton of friends. And so everything was just kind of on track. To have Angel, I feel like I've always had a pretty good life. I've been very blessed. I had made the decision not to have kids, not to be married, and that's just what I wanted. And I didn't know I needed Angel till I had her. I thought my life was full, and then I look back now and it was just empty. I just didn't really have a purpose, even though I was happy. But then along comes this little girl, that I met in Africa, and just changed everything. I mean, she's changed who I am as a person. She's changed my outlook on life, what's important. I've adopted an entire family that I didn't have before that I just love to death. Yeah, she has enriched my life beyond words. And that's saying a lot when I thought my life was good before. It's been hard to explain. It's hard to buy gifts for Angel because she has everything. But this last Christmas, I've wanted this for a few years, but now with AI, it was pretty easy. I wrote her a song. I wanted to give her a song first, but so I tried to have AI do it, but AI they can't write a song with the emotion that was needed. So, and it's not a sad song, but it's just about our life basically. So I sat down and I wrote it, and it was weird because it was so easy to write because when you feel something, when you're so emotionally invested in something or you care so much about something, I mean, you can spill out your emotions. You can put that down on paper. So I put it down on paper and, just some of the words that came out were, how I never knew what I needed till I had it. And you just don't know till you know, and just some things like that. But a lot of those came out in that song, which was kind of cool. And I gave it to her for Christmas and she listened to it and cried a little bit. It was pretty cool. I wrote the words because I'd been playing around with some different AI software, just looking for what are the best ones. I started with a couple of them and you could put in like the topic and it's supposed to spit out a song. But those are the ones that just didn't really capture what I was trying to say. So then I wrote the lyrics and then I put it into this AI program and you select everything. You select male singer, female singer, what type of music, and there's 100 different things you can select, Afrobeat and drums and whatever you want. And so you put it in there and it spits out a song. I kind of liked where it was going, but I probably ran it through 50 simulations. And I just remember when it started playing this song, I started to tear up. And obviously that's when I knew obviously that was the one. It was really, really a cool song and the way it was put together and just the message that it laid out everything, how I feel about Angel and her journey that we've had. Literally it starts the day she was born to today. So that's where it came from.
That is beautiful. That is so extraordinary. And yes, when it moves you to tears, that is how you know. Because if it can't touch you, it can't touch anybody else. So that's really incredible. Angel, I'd love to hear your reaction to that. When you heard that song, when you heard those lyrics, what was that like?
He basically told me, I have one last present for you. And he was like, just go to the office and press play. And I was like, okay. So I walk up to the office and I press play. And right when the lyrics started singing, I'm like, wait, this sounds familiar. This sounds like a life that I know. I definitely started crying. It was such a beautiful song. To this day, I cannot believe that AI sang it. It's crazy good. But I literally cried through the whole, I believe it's 7 minutes. I cried through the whole 7 minutes, but it's a beautiful 7 minutes of our life since we met, basically to now. I mean, I have that song saved everywhere and I make sure I play it everywhere. I think the day I got it, I think I played it for the next week at least. I think I played it at least 50 times in the next week, just hitting, play, play, play. And I was sharing it with my friends. And it really was just an incredible song. One of my friends made a joke and said, how is your future husband going to compete with, things like this? And I said, the bar is high, so they have to go above it. But it was truly a magical gift because it's timeless.
Yeah.
I will always have that song. I'll always have our story together. Woo! Anyways, it will always be a piece of Tony that is with me. Even if we're not talking or anything, if I put that song on, I just know everything's gonna be fine.
Under the Tanzanian sun, she was born. A true angel came to earth that sunny morn. But little did I know, from 1,000 miles away, that my little girl was born on that day. Life in the village always seemed to have its pains, but that little girl had ambition in her veins. She worked so hard in life every single day, but through it all she never lost her way. Like a precious gem hidden deep within the earth. From the start nobody really knew her worth. All she needed was a spark to light the fire. Her little heart was overflowing with desire. You crossed the ocean, you crossed my soul. You made my empty world finally feel whole. Love is not a border, love is not a wall. It's the shine of your soul giving light to it all. And always remember that wherever you go, you're my little girl and that you'll never outgrow. Yeah, no. Oh, no. Yeah, no. Across the ocean I was looking for my soul. I thought I had it all, but I guess I didn't know that the one thing missing in my life was you. Little did I know that I needed rescue too. I don't know why, but my heart was pulling me to go. They always say you don't know until you know. On that November day when you told me your name, I knew that minute my life would never be the same. You were just a little shy girl I could not ignore, and your smile made me feel like I never had before. The way our hearts grew together, I really can't explain. It's like I had new life flowing through my veins. You crossed the ocean, you crossed my soul. You made my empty world finally feel whole. Love is not a border, love is not a wall. It's the shine of your soul giving light to it all. And always remember that wherever you go, you're my little girl and had to kick and fight. And sometimes it seemed like our dream was out of sight. But the work paid off after 2 long years. We crossed that ocean, it was worth all the tears. We started our life with lots of ups and downs. We went through times with gray and rainy clouds. But we stuck it out and we grew stronger every day. Because we knew life together was the only way. It didn't take long to know I loved being your dad. And that the good times we had far outweighed the bad. Watching you grow and achieve all of your dreams. There didn't seem to be anything you couldn't achieve. You crossed the ocean, you crossed my soul. You made my empty world finally feel whole. Love is not a border, love is not a wall. It's the shine of your soul giving light to it all. And always remember that wherever you go, you're my little girl and that you'll never outgrow. Oh, yeah, no, no. Oh, yeah, no, no. From bikes to cars and sports to bars, you grew and grew. You lived your life just like I always wished for you. And it didn't seem to matter that whatever you do, your strength and bravery would always shine through. The pride and love I have for you is hard to explain. It's like ring after ring of an unbreakable chain. You'll never really know just how much I love you, and that I'll always be here through everything you do. When I see the girl that blossomed from the Tanzanian sun, I'm not surprised of the amazing woman you've become. I can only look back and think of that gem within the earth, and how you grew into the diamond I always knew you would. Oh, you crossed the ocean, you crossed my soul. You made my empty world finally feel whole. Love is not a bore.
Wow, that's a really, really touching story. I think it's a testament to the power of family. And we are really strong believers in family are the people that you choose. Family is so interesting. You know, we're born into these family units and we only know what we know. And as we age and we have life experiences and there's the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, everything in between. To me, family is that sanctuary where you can rest peacefully. It's safe, it's secure, it's home. One of the most amazing things about your story, Angel, and the two of you, Tony and Angel, together, is the breadth of family that spans the world. What does family mean to each of you today? And Angel, for you, what an interesting situation that you're in. You know, you were born into this family with 2 mothers and 1 father and 16 siblings in Tanzania. And you have this equally wonderful family in Colorado in the United States. I would just love to explore that meaning of family from both of your perspectives.
I would say for me, family before I met Tony was just blood. I mean, it was as simple as that. It's the family you're born into. You kind of have no choice but to love each other, even if you fight or there are arguments or anything. It's just the family that you're born into, and it's almost your responsibility to be a part of it and to allow them to be a part of yours, like, yeah, to me, it's almost like a no-brainer. But then I feel like after I met Tony, to me, family became the people that choose you and the people that you choose as well. I mean, I'm still very close with my family here. That bond has never been shaken. But ever since I met Tony now, family definitely has a different meaning to me. Just because, Tony was able to choose me with, I mean, I had two pairs of clothes. I was sick all the time. I barely had anything. I just knew how to count, 1 through 10. And I mean, I just knew how to be a kid and he still chose me among all those children. I just can never explain that. He made me feel so safe. He was already like an instant family member. And so I would definitely say that to me, family are the people that choose you and the people that you choose as well. And in this case, Tony chose me. You can tell in our first pictures, like any picture we would take, Tony would, try to give me a hug and I would always like move away because emotions weren't really like a big thing in my culture, like somebody hugging you and doing all that stuff. So I would always kind of move away. But now I'm lovey-dovey. I give him the biggest hug ever. And him choosing me was just, it changed my life forever. And I will always, always, always choose him no matter what. Nothing will ever step in the way.
For me, I mean, what she said is spot on. Angel came obviously from a huge family all around all the time. And I come from a pretty small family. It's my sister and I and just our immediate family. Our cousins are all elsewhere and never really got to know them. So for me, it opened up my family tree. When I go back to Tanzania with Angel, it's just fun to be in the village because it's like a family reunion all the time. The grandparents are coming and going, and aunts and uncles, and thousands of kids, it seems like, just running in around the village. So it's just that fun family atmosphere that I guess I missed. I never had. Because again, just I come from a pretty small private family. So I really, really have enjoyed having a large family, an extended family. And one of my proudest accomplishments, Angel mentioned the hugging. The Maasai are just like that. They don't hug. And now when you go into Angel's Village, they all just hug everybody and they're all huggers now. So
Oh, I love that.
Everyone is a hugger.
I have converted the whole family to huggers. So
For the longest time, they would just hug Tony, but I would always have to like give the head, every time like they would tap it and everything. That's kind of the greeting. But I've noticed the past 2 trips to Tanzania, I've been getting more hugs. But especially this one that happened last week. I mean, people didn't even let me get off the motorcycle and they were already hugging me.
No.
Like even my dad, I went to for the original, tap on the head and he just like pulled me over. So because of Tony hugging, it's just a normal thing now.
Ugh,
I've had an
love
influence on this one.
Yeah.
I turned some non-huggers into huggers.
it's a good one too. I know I'm such a hugger. And so I tell people all the time, especially when people go to like shake my hand, depending on the situation, I'm like, bring it in. I'm a hugger, not a shaker. That's like my standard line. So I get it. I celebrate that. We need a world full of huggers. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to, I don't think you guys probably talked about this, but we were talking how much Angel has done for the village through One Love. Her impact just as a person, I think, needs to be highlighted. Women and children in Maasai culture, I mean, it's a male-dominated culture. The village elders are men. Men make the decision about everything for the family, for the village, for everything. One of Angel's main points of focus through not necessarily One Love, but partly through One Love is to help empower the women, to give them a voice, to teach that to the younger women, her younger siblings and all the young girls in the village, to teach them that they have a voice and they have worth and they're valuable. And to watch that village transform over these last decade, whatever it's been remarkable. When Angel's there now, and I happen to be there whenever I'm there, but I see the men pulling Angel into important conversations to make decisions for the family or for the tribe. They seek her guidance and her counsel. Angel mentioned earlier about her mom. She has, different businesses now. a lot of the women now, they learn to support themselves instead of relying on their husbands who may or may not support them. And if the husband doesn't support the mother, then the kids aren't supported either. So many of the women now are supporting themselves, and they're just finally, they're like, okay, I'm going to get what I need myself, and I'm going to support this family with or without the support of my husband. It's just fun to watch the women now that used to be so kind of meek and not confident, just confident women now, and not afraid to stand up to a male if they think they're right, and not afraid to give their input on a decision that needs to be made. And her impact's been much more than just the physical improvements of the village with the water well and the electricity and things like that. So that's been really remarkable to see her change in actual culture with her drive and her passion.
It's so incredible to get to witness not only the love that you guys have for each other, it's so apparent, but the respect and the true just admiration that you have for each other and who you are in the world and how you impact the world. Both of you are so complimentary to and about each other. And it's so beautiful. And Tony, as you were sharing all of that, and Kelly touched on it earlier, but I just keep going back to legacy. Angel, you are living your legacy. You are having such a profound impact. And like Tony said, it goes far beyond just the resources, the water and the electricity and all of that, but to have a real impact on humanity that we talked about before. And I can't help but just think about how you're really kind of just getting started. You're having such a profound impact right now. And in these last several years, you've had this really profound impact. But we're talking about a legacy, really, and an impact that's in its infancy. It's extraordinary to think about then the ripple effect of that. And what is this village going to look like? And not just look like physically, right? But what are the people in this culture and in this village going to be like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, long after all of us are gone? The impact that you are having on the world is exceptional.
Thank you.
It is exciting to see. After Angel came here, her sister Rebecca, she talked so much about, she, of course, continued her education and got a college degree in accounting. And another impact that will be exciting to see in 5, 10, 20 years is hopefully education and a college degree will become the norm.
Right.
Not only in the village, but, with Angel's family, because, they're so near and dear to us. But she has 4, I think, younger siblings. Do I have the count right? So we're going to make sure they all go to college, so they can support themselves and have the life they deserve and support their family. And it's going to be fun to watch these next couple decades and see what unfolds.
I was thinking, Aaron, as you were talking and this whole conversation was unfolding about roots and ripples, because that's something we talk about here on the podcast, that the roots that we grow and that we tend and that we nurture create this profound ripple effect out into the world. In a world today that is more divided than ever, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of hurt, a lot of hatred. It is stories like this that reinstill hope in humanity, and that every small action anybody takes to do something good, positive, and meaningful in the world matters. It's that butterfly effect. The flapping of one's wings, and your little wings are flapping like a hummingbird right now. But that is changing energy. And that is what ultimately winds up changing the world. One person, one voice, one action, one moment at a time. And so big kudos to you, young lady, you remarkable woman, you,
Thank you.
for doing what you're doing. What do you admire most about each other?
You want to go first?
It's hard to pick. I think what I admire most in my lovely father here is I can't pick. It's either his heart or the fact that he didn't take no for an answer. I just really love And I'm not saying this because it was affecting me, but I just loved how he didn't take no for an answer. He just kept finding ways to bring me to the US, even though it seemed like a dead end. He just kept going and he didn't just stop there. He became one of the greatest parents I've ever had. He accepted the challenge wholeheartedly. And I think that's what I admire most about him. And we always make this joke like, I break things and he fixes, because he generally does fix anything. Anything that I throw at him, anything that the world throws at him regarding anything, he always finds a way to fix it. He just excelled. He excelled in this whole process. He absolutely excelled. And I just love the fact that he never gave up, even when the people so close to him told him, we don't think you should go down this route. He just kept going. And I think that is what he has instilled in me now, because I really, really don't give up on something easily, which can be good and bad. I really don't give up on something until I have found at least 50 ways to possibly make it work. That's why I'm the confident woman I am today, is because the way Tony is as a person. He doesn't give up. He works hard. I feel like now I'm really giving a lot of answers, but his work ethic in everything inspires me. And I think it has transitioned over to me just with everything that I try to pursue.
For me, it's what I admire most is her heart. I mean, she has the most tender, loving, kind heart I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever heard her say a bad thing about anybody. She's so empathetic to everybody's story and everybody's situation. And she's just so level headed. And I mean, but her heart is just so kind. She loves everybody. She loves every animal. She loves everything. And I just love that about her. It's just so sweet. So that is what I admire most about that Angel Mollel.
It reminds me of in part 1 of our conversation when Angel, you said, I don't know how to repay my father. And you repay him every day with your love and with your heart.
That's what he says.
I do say that.
Well, good. We're in alignment.
I just feel like I should be doing a lot more, but I don't know what.
She doesn't know how much she does without doing anything.
Exactly.
I could talk to both of you for hours and hours, and you have shared so much. And I know that it just scratches the surface of your relationship and the bond that you share and the experiences that you've had, traveling the world together, impacting the world together, which is really extraordinary. But I would like to hear from each of you. What do you hope that people take away from your story?
Just something that we've both talked about is take chances in your life. I mean, don't be afraid to take chances, even as it seems crazy. And everybody thought I was crazy when I went to Africa in the middle of my career and spent 2 years off just pursuing something. But if I didn't do that, if I didn't take that first trip, none of this would have happened. And I remember that first night before I left, I was so nervous to go. I was like, am I making a mistake? I could have pulled out the night before because, it's kind of nerve wracking going to Africa to spend 6 months. But I didn't, obviously, and pursued that challenge and look what it led to. I just hope people take risks, think big, open your heart, do some good. It just takes a little bit, just a little effort here and there. But if a lot of people do it, then that's a lot of good being spread out there. So. And I just, I love it when people hear Angel's story because I feel like she is truly remarkable and truly amazing. And so the more people that can hear her story, I think, the better they'll be.
Oh, that's so sweet. I would say mine is pay it forward. The reason I am here today, the reason I am the woman I am today, the reason I am in this Zoom call with the Starlink outside, the reason I am able to travel, the reason I'm able to build better houses for my moms and, provide financial stability. And the reason I'm able to do all this is because somebody lent me a helping hand. It's because Tony stepped in that role and helped me. Then after I saw that he did that, then I decided to pay it forward to the village, but with all the work that we're trying to do. And even with just the way I live my life, I mean, I literally see a homeless man and I want to give him all my money. even though I don't know him. Like, to me, it's pay it forward, lend that helping hand, because it really could change someone's life. Just Tony taking me out to get fresh air or taking me to a better boarding school. I mean, those were already steps that were already impacting my life more than I could imagine, and eventually moving to the US. I mean, I can't explain it, but he's just changed my life for the better, because if it was the alternative, I would be, I would have already been married by now, probably have 3, 4 kids. So he's paved a different path for my life. And it's a path that has not only impacted me, but, a whole village. And even the friends I have in the US, those are all from Tony's doing, just from creating that path, and the degrees that I have and the awards and everything. I know Tony would rant on and on and on about how it's all me and I'm amazing and all that. And I truly appreciate it. But it's the path that he paved for me. And it's this beautiful, well-lit path that my job is just to walk on it. And I will forever be grateful for that. But now I just urge anybody else to, lend that helping hand, pay it forward if you can. If your parents went above and beyond for you, you should go above and beyond, maybe for your siblings or maybe for your grandma or maybe for a stranger. But just remember to pay it forward, because this world is about helping each other.
And we all need each other.
Mm-hmm.
We all need each other.
Absolutely.
One of the things that we talk about here at the end of every episode, and I know you got a little sneak peek at it, but the reason that we named our podcast what we did, the PIG, and some people call it the Pig Podcast, and that's just fine. But it was in honor of our mom, and she was born in the year of the pig, and she collected pigs her whole life. When she died, she had easily hundreds of little pig figurines, everything. You even see one behind me in the picture. They're all over the place. So Aaron and I knew that pigs had to be a part of what we were doing. And so we named the PIG, which is for us, our mission of doing all of this with purpose, intention, and gratitude. And so we ask all of our guests, if you have a PIG, and that could be PI or G words, or what does purpose, intention, and gratitude garner up for you when you think about it?
When I hear those 3 words, gratitude, I'm just so grateful for Angel and what she's done to me in my life. It's beyond words. I'm just so grateful to have her in my life, what she's done to my life. Everything about her has just made me a better person. So I'm just so grateful I have her.
Mm-hmm. I like the PI, but of course G is just, I feel like it just goes with Tony and I. I mean, we're 2 peas in a pod, for sure. We're so grateful for each other, so grateful to him and everything he's done. And, he truly has changed my life for the better. And I think that's the letter that really stands out for this story.
I bounce back to the P, the purpose. When I first met Angel, I knew she had a purpose. I knew she had ambition and a purpose that no one else saw. And actually, Kelly, we just pinged on text a couple times, but in that song, it talks about Angel's purpose in a way. So yeah, Angel just had a purpose that no one else saw, but I did. And I'm just glad she's been able to follow that purpose.
Oh.
And I will say the intention that you both brought to pouring into this relationship, into each other, the intention that you took Angel into creating and building One Love into what it is today. There is so much intention that you both have that you bring to the table. Tony, you very intentionally did absolutely everything that you needed to do to make sure that Angel ended up with you in the United States and had the opportunity for this life. And so it's all just so beautiful, all of it.
Thank you.
You guys probably saw me. I reached up and grabbed something off of my shelf because I have to share this with you now that you know about the pig history. Because this pig, Kelly's got them all over. I've got them everywhere. But this pig sits on my desk. And it's so perfect for this moment because this is my angel pig.
Oh, look at that.
That's so
That looked like Angel when she was chubby.
Hey, what the heck?
And so it's perfect that I'm talking to Angel because this is my little angel pig.
That's cute.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Very fitting.
Yes, very fitting. Very, very fitting.
That's hilarious.
We'll have to put a picture of it online so our listeners can see it.
Well, Tony and Angel, thank you both so much for this conversation. I think what makes your story so powerful is not just where it began and how unlikely it may have seemed from the outside, but the way the two of you chose each other. As we come to a close, Angel, I want to read something that you wrote to us
Okay.
because this brings tears to my eyes.
Mm.
And I don't know what she wrote, so this will be new to me also.
Oh, geez, I forgot.
The highlight of my story, how my dad and I met, the instant bond that we had, even though we were from separate parts of the world. Everything he did to change my life in Tanzania and his constant fight to try to bring me to the U.S. for a better life and education. If you saw him and me today, you would think we have known each other since I was born. There's nothing like it. He's my world, and I am truly the luckiest daughter alive. My message is to never be afraid to meet new people because they might change your life. For my dad, he never gave up on me, even when all of his family members told him that bringing me to the U.S. was impossible. But he never gave up. We are so grateful that you shared your story with us today. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
As Angel mentioned yesterday, I don't say much about myself, but I can talk about her all day long. So I appreciate the platform to do so.
Well, we hope the two of you will come back and join us again as we continue to watch One Love unfold and make an impact in the lives of not just your village, but so many people across Africa and across the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And this has been amazing. We truly appreciated it. And the final point, I know I won't be spending Father's Day with Tony, but this is just my chance to wish him a happy Father's Day since I won't be there. So hopefully the people listening will also wish you a happy Father's Day. And all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Hearing the stories of others helps us create a more meaningful connection to our own. We hope today's conversation offered you insight, encouragement, or even just a moment to pause and reflect on the story you're living and the legacy you're creating.
If something in this episode moved you, please consider sharing it with someone you love. A small share can make a big impact. You can also join us on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn and connect further at thepigpodcast.com.
And if you're enjoying this podcast, one of the most meaningful ways you can support us is by leaving a 5-star rating, writing a short review, or simply letting us know your thoughts. Your feedback helps us reach others and reminds us why we do this work.
Because the PIG isn't just a podcast. It's a place to remember that even in the midst of grief, life goes on, resilience matters, and love never leaves. Thanks for being on this journey with us. Until next time, hugs and kisses, everyone.